What's up, people? I am back for another video. I am reviewing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which came out in 1974, which wasn't the first slasher because there was a slasher before that, but this was like the first of like the IP slashers technically, you know. But holy shit, man, this movie is crazy. The way they shot it, the fact that it's shot like a snuff film, if you've ever heard what a snuff film is, but the even just the opening like talking narration from that dude who's like talking about this like as if this really happened, like I really like that, giving you the dates. I think the characters, I'll admit, are kind of the weak point of the movie, but it almost works because at the end of the day these are supposed to feel like normal people you would think you'd see back, because it was supposed to be even though it came out in 74, it's supposed to be technically 1973. I think it still works. They still work as characters for the movie. Yeah, they're not the greatest characters in the world. I think Sally's fine, but everyone else is meh. But it works. I love how crazy the family is. Like, when you get that reveal, like, that Leatherface isn't working on his own. And I think it's a big reason why I think the new one just didn't work, was because Leatherface is boring without his family, and like that is the biggest element of Leatherface that makes him like kind of captivating, is his crazy ass family, the Sawyers. And I really like they don't go too into them. They're there, you know. They find the house. It's just very simple film, you know. Sally, her brother Franklin, Jerry, Kirk, and Pam are hearing about, because their bodies being dug up, and throughout the film you're hearing like on radio, which I love. It makes it that much feel that much more real. It's like you have like this radio guy throughout the film talking about like these missing bodies, and they're because Franklin and Sally want to make sure their grandfather wasn't dug up. So, and he throughout the film Franklin mentions like they have a farmhouse out there. And while out there, they find this house, then obviously turns out that Leatherface is in it, and he starts, him and his family are these crazy cannibals trying to murder people, and they have to end up murdering most of the people, and it's only Sally who's left. Very visceral movie. And I think that's really, really all I can really say. The visceralness of the movie, and the scene where Pam finds the bodies on, being put on like in furniture, which, because Leatherface is based off real life serial killer Ed Gein, and yeah, it's something fucking crazy. And then when we get the reveal with the family, because there's this hitchhiker guy, the main group picks up earlier in the film, you tell there's something off about him. And then we get the reveal that he's working with Leatherface along with the proprietor, owner of like this, I think he's a mechanic. Like it's crazy. Just an overall awesome film. The music is great. The biggest positive, really, I love how this feels real. Like, this feels like you're actually watching some crazy shit happen. So I think they definitely did their work. Toby Hooper, I think is the name of the director, did a really good job. Bravo, because this film will stand the test of time. Even today, like, I've seen like reactions somewhat. So I haven't seen this movie all the way through in years, but I've seen scenes. But seeing reactions just to this movie, people like, even today, like people like you could tell clearly are a bit younger. This film still hits. So it's not like, oh, this feels cheesy. No, this movie still works. So overall, original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is an iconic film in horror. I'll admit, I'm not the biggest Leatherface fan. I prefer Michael and Jason and Freddy, but I think in general, this original. But I do like 2, and then I like the '03 remake. I'll admit, I don't like a lot of the other Texas movies, really, but I do think this movie is an iconic film in horror. You can't take that away. I mean, this was the first real IP horror. I mean, granted, it wasn't going in to be an IP and a franchise, but in terms of, if you really think about it, this was the first real franchise, the first slasher franchise, because this was pre-Halloween. But all around, original Texas is great, heavily recommended. If you're into horror, If you're not, this will fuck you up. This movie, it still hits. There's scenes that still will fuck you up. But aside from that, yes, I will be doing the other Texas movie. So next week will be Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Tomorrow I'm doing Ginger Snaps 3. Or it's 3, but it's technically like a prequel from what I've read of the plot. So, but yeah, let's get started. So, get this awesome narration, which is like, that's like probably my, aside from like overall the movie, it's like one of my favorite things about it. It makes it feel real. It's like as if like you're watching like a crime documentary, or like he's acting like this really happened. We get this cool opening narration. Then we get like this radio kind of guy on the radio talking about how bodies are being dug up and all that, and we see like just this shot of like this body arranged by Leatherface. You just don't know it yet. And yeah, it's crazy. So it's August 18th, 1973. We meet our characters, Sally, her paraplegic brother Franklin, their friends Kirk, Jerry, and Pam. Sally wants to, because throughout the film you hear like the radio talking about how the bodies are being dug up, and they want to make sure that their father's corpse isn't vandalized. And like I mentioned, the characters they're kind of thin. There's not a lot of characterization with them. You know, Sally and her brother, you just know that they're brother and sister. And, you know, they want to make sure their grandfather's okay. But like aside from that, there's not a lot. And I think it works because they wanted to shoot this as if this was like a real fucking crime, you know, going on. Like this was like, that's why they shot it almost like a snuff film. It didn't feel like, even comparing it to other films at the time in 1974, the way it's shot, it's not fully cinematic. Like, that's why like I love the graininess of it too. It's shot like a snuff film, like as if this is happening in real time. But yeah, so you know, the group stop throughout the film, and they meet like, you know, the locals around town and stuff like that. And then yeah, while traveling, and also the movie goes too, like it pretty much goes from like it zooms, like it doesn't, there's not like, I don't feel like there's a slow point in the movie where they're like, no, like it goes really, like, you know, the group, you just kind of see the group are talking about there's a scene where Franklin has an accident because he's trying to pee, and he accidentally falls off because like he's on like close to the side of a cliff, not a cliff but like a little mini hill. So that happens, and then while driving, the group pick up this hitchhiker because it's the 70s, you know, so hitchhiking was still like in at the time. And he talks about that, how he worked at an old slaughterhouse, and throughout the film, Franklin mentions that his father, I think grandfather, one of the two, has a farmhouse out here, and the weird hitchhiker, you could tell something's up with him. He starts just like acting weird. He takes a picture of Franklin and wants Franklin to pay him $2. Franklin refuses, so he burns the hitchhiker burns the picture, grabs his knife, and then, you know, cuts his arm. He gets kicked out the car, and yeah, I think the hitchhiker guy, like, even if it wasn't revealed that he, you know, works with Leatherface, like he's Leatherface's brother, I think the Sawyers did a really good job. They're probably, to me, the best performers of the movie. Just, you could tell there's something up with these people. So they arrive at the house. Kirk and Pam go separate because they want to go to, like, there's a water hole. So they go there. And then Kirk goes in the house first, and this is where we get our first appearance of Leatherface. Kills Kirk with a hammer, and then Pam, while investigating in the house, finds the room. Finds the room where there's like a lot of bodies, not bodies, but like body parts set up as furniture, which is a really awesome scene. The good set design. I thought Pam did a good job there. Like, her reaction felt real when she found that room. Like, it didn't feel like, okay, they were phoning it in. So Leatherface shows up and impales her on a hook, like on a meat hook. She is forced to watch as he chops up her boyfriend with a chainsaw. Then Jerry goes in, because I think Pam's like his girlfriend. So Jerry goes in the house. He does initially like nothing's going on. He was like knocking out the door and stuff like that. So he goes in. Not like her body's missing. Kirk's body is missing, and he notices an ice box, and I think he hears a noise from the ice box. Opens it, and Pam is still alive, but Leatherface shows up and kills Jerry with the hammer, and then puts her back in the box. They don't show her dying, but it's pretty much implied. Yeah, he kills her after that. So then we're pretty much just left with Sally and Franklin. It's crazy. Like, yeah, the movie goes, man. Like, I'm already at the final act, pretty much from this point. So yeah, they search for their friends in the woods, and I'm not gonna lie, this was probably a really well done jump scare scene is when Leatherface just shows up, because they're walking like in the woods. You have like this kind of blue lighting, and because I think they're using like a flashlight, and yeah, Leatherface just fucking shows up out the blue and kills Franklin. Like, it's like, god damn, like, very well done jump scare. It didn't scare me, but it was like, okay, that's a pretty good jump scare right there. So we again get Leatherface chasing Sally for a bit. Pretty decent chase scene. I love, like, she's like tripping. You got a lot of like the tropes. She's tripping on stuff. You got like, yeah, the big chase scene. She's now the final girl. She manages to make it to the proprietor's room, who you saw him earlier in the movie, and he didn't seem weird or anything. So she manages to find him, and he goes away for a second, and when he returns, it turns out that he actually is also bad. Yeah, he tries to tie her up. She grabs like a knife, but he knocks the knife out of her hand, and then he like hits her with I'm not gonna lie, but when he was like hitting her with a broom, I was kind of laughing. I was like, okay, but so yeah, after that, basically knocking her out, ties her up, and then takes her to the house. And yeah, this is where we get the reveal that the proprietor and the hitchhiker are actually brothers of Leatherface. Now Leatherface wearing, like, my opinion, his creepiest costume. He has like that suit, and it's like a woman's mask, face mask. It's fucking creepy. I'm not gonna lie. This is where, in my opinion, the film was already crazy, but my god, it levels up when she pretty much meets the family. Because yeah, these are some crazy motherfuckers, and I think Sally's acting here was probably the best, because you could put yourself in her shoes. She felt like she was pulling it off. Like, you could see the fear in her eyes, just being tied up, seeing these three crazy motherfuckers, just being weird. You have the hitchhiker like taunting her and shit, and then they bring out the grandfather, who basically is just a corpse. It's like, man, family is batshit. Just an all around well done scene. That's my favorite. This is probably my favorite section of the movie. Even don't get me wrong, I like some of the kills we see, but to me, this is my favorite section of the movie. Just seeing these motherfuckers just be batshit and they pull it off, and it doesn't feel hokey or anything. And this goes to my point why you can't have Leatherface on his own. He's boring. He's not like Michael Myers or Jason where they can kind of carry the story on their own as killers. With Leatherface, you need the family. Like, you need the Sawyers. And that's this movie, watching this again, solidifies why. Just how batshit they are. And and it works. So, they decide to let Grandpa, because he's somewhat alive, but he's just very weak. Decide to let Grandpa kill her. But she's too weak, so he can't, like, grip the hammer fully. So Sally manages to break out. The hitchhiker and Leatherface chase her. She manages to make it to a road. Hitchhiker ends up getting hit by a truck, which they show all of, by the way, for the time. Like, it's not, like, obviously, like, Final Destination bloody, but they showed all of it. They didn't hide it or anything. They didn't do, like, a cut or anything. Like, they showed him getting hit. Sally manages to stop the truck. The driver gets out, like, tries to make sure he's okay. Leatherface chases her. And the driver, Leatherface basically, injures the driver. But Sally manages to escape, like, jump on it, like, on a truck, like, on the back of a truck. Someone's pickup. And you get this, like, awesome shot of her just covered in blood, just laughing. And then Leatherface just kind of rages in the end. But awesome movie. Just such an iconic movie. Even as someone, like I said, not the biggest Leatherface fan, not the biggest Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, franchise fan in general. But the original is such an iconic film. How visceral it is. How the way it's shot. Not the greatest characters in the world, but the characters work for the movie. The Sawyers are fucking batshit. To me, they're the best part of the film. Just that whole section, even though it's not a long section, like, when Sally gets to the house, it's like the last maybe 15 minutes, maybe. But it still works. Just, they carry that scenery in that. So, just a great film. I love how it feels real. Like, it actually feels like this is actually happening. Especially with that opening, like, just narration. So, heavily recommend the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre if you haven't seen, especially if you're in a horror. I'm getting more into the franchise with the other movies. I don't know if I'd fully recommend it as a franchise. I might recommend this one and then watch the second one and then watch the 2003 one and then just be done. Because, to be honest, the rest of the movies, like, I know Next Generation. I don't think I've fully seen that. The only thing I know from that one, that's the one that a lot of people see as just like a full-on meme. And I think like a young fucking Matthew McConaughey's in it. So, and I think Reese Witherspoon's in it too. Like, I think so anyway. I know it's like a name actress. So, but yeah, like a lot of the movies just aren't good. Like, you have some like really bad ones, like the one I just reviewed from this year. The 2013 one was pretty bad. Like, overall, I think it's partially they just don't know what to do with Leatherface, but the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a masterpiece, and I can't take that away. Tobe Hooper did a really good job with this film. The fact that it feels real is what I love. So, yeah, 9.5 out of 10. That's really all I could say. Doing, like I mentioned, Ginger Snaps 3 tomorrow. Going in blind with that one. So, but, yeah. Watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or The Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 1974. But, I'm gonna cheers and peace out. But, fuck Fuck Joe Biden. Fuck Kamala Harris. Fuck Gavin Newsom. Talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.